All right, beautiful people. Happy Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. It is September 1st, 2021. Guess what, y'all? I hope y'all ready for the day. We start Caesar's Messiah, the conspiracy to invent Jason. All right, y'all. Happy Wednesday. It's September the 1st, 2021, day 248 of year 3 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets, and of the 3-year consecutive day count, day 917. Today we're reading Hosea 10, 11, and 12, and then we're going to jump right into our next book that helps to wake us up from our strong delusion, Caesar's Messiah. So if you've been here the last few days, you've heard the intro about it and all that good stuff. When we start, we'll read the back cover. You know how you get a book and you go read the back to see if you want to read it. We're gonna read the back part first before we actually start reading. And the intro itself, oh, it is so good. Okay, y'all. So let's go ahead and do the Shema. So we can go ahead and get started here. So minimize this right here. Remember, the Shema is found in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verse 3. Hear, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with you, and that you may increase mightily, as Yahuwah, the mighty one of our fathers, has promised us in a land that flows with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah, our mighty one, he is one, and you shall love Yahuwah, your mighty one, with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. And these words which I command you this day shall be in your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, right? Remember, hand represents action, what we do here. Here represents the thoughts, what we meditate on, right? And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand. And they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them upon the posts of your house and on your gates. And Yahuwah commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear Yahuwah, our mighty one, for our good always, that he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before Yahuwah, our mighty one, as he has commanded us. Lavon, blessings. Kathy, shalom, shalom. Trina, hey girl, hey. All right, y'all. So pull this up. Hosea chapter 10. Continue here. Oh. Okay. All right, y'all. Hosea chapter 10. Okay. Auntie Shalom. Okay. Hosea chapter 10. Yahuwah's judgment against Israel. How prosperous Israel is, a luxuriant vine loaded with fruit. But the richer the people get, the more pagan altars they build. The more bountiful their harvest, the more beautiful their sacred pillars. The hearts of the people are fickle, and they are guilty and must be punished. Yahuwah will break down their altars and smash their sacred pillars. Then they will say, we have no king because we didn't fear Yahuwah, our God. But even if we had a king, what could he do for us anyway? They spout empty words and make covenants they don't intend to keep. So injustice springs up among them like poisonous weeds in a farmer's field. The people of Samaria tremble in fear for their calf idol at Beth Aven. The people of Samaria tremble in fear for their calf idol at Beth Aven, and they mourn for it. Though its priests rejoice over it, its glory will be stripped away. This idol will be carted away to Assyria, a great gift to the king there. Ephraim will be ridiculed, and Israel will be shamed, because its people have trusted in this idol. Samaria and its king will be cut off. They will float away like driftwood on an ocean wave, and the pagan shrines of Avon, the place of Israel's sin, will crumble. Thorns and thistles will grow up around their altars. They will beg the mountains, bury us, and plead with the hills, fall on us. Yahuwah says, O Israel, ever since Gibeah, there has been only sin and more sin. You have made no progress whatsoever. Was it not right that the wicked men of Gibeah were attacked? Now, whenever it fits my plan, I will attack you too. I will call out the armies of the nations to punish you for your multiplied sins. Israel is like a trained heifer treading out the grain, an easy job she loves, but I will put a heavy yoke on her tender neck. I will force Judah to pull the plow and Israel to break up the hard ground. I said, plant the good seeds of righteousness, and you will harvest a crop of love. Plow up the hard ground of your hearts, for now is the time to seek Yahuwah, that he may come and shower righteousness upon you. For you have cultivated wickedness and harvested a thriving crop of sins. You have eaten the fruit of lies, trusting in your military might, believing that great armies could make your nation safe. Now the terrors of war will arise among your people. All your fortifications will fall, just as when Shalman destroyed Beth Arbel. Even mothers and children were dashed to death there. You will share that fate, Bethel, because of your great wickedness. When the day of judgment dawns, the king of Israel will be completely destroyed. Next chapter, Hosea chapter 11. Yahuwah's love for Israel. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and I called my son out of Egypt. Remember, it's not talking about a single person. It's talking about the whole nation of people. Remember? Pay attention. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and I called my son out of Egypt. But the more I called to him, the farther from me he moved away, offering sacrifices to the image of Baal and burning incense to idols. I myself taught Israel how to walk, leading him along by the hand, but he doesn't even know or even care that it was I who took care of him. I led Israel along with my ropes of kindness and love. I lifted the yoke from his neck, and I myself stooped to feed him. But since my people refuse to return to me, they will return to Egypt and will be forced to serve Assyria. War will swirl through their cities. Their enemies will crash through their gates. They will destroy them, trapping them in their own evil plans. For my people are determined to desert me. They call me the Most High, but they don't truly honor me. Oh, how can I give you up, Israel? How can I let you go? How can I destroy you like Admah or demolish you like Zeboim? My heart is torn within me, and my compassion overflows. No, I will not unleash my fierce anger. I will not completely destroy Israel, for I am Yahuwah and not a mere mortal. Remember that too. For I am Yahuwah, like I am God. I am not man. For I am Yahuwah and not a mere mortal. Remember, we flesh and blood, we are mere mortals, right? I am the Holy One living among you, and I will not come to destroy. For someday the people will follow me. I, Yahuwah, will roar like a lion, and when I roar, my people will return trembling from the west. Like a flock of birds, they will come from Egypt. Trembling like doves, they will return from Assyria, and I will bring them home again, says Yahuwah. Israel surrounds me with lies and deceit, but Judah still obeys me and is faithful to the Holy One. Last chapter for the day, y'all, Hosea chapter 12. The people of Israel feed on the wind. They chase after the east wind all day long. They pile up lies and violence. They are making an alliance with Assyria while sending olive oil to buy support from Egypt. Now Yahuwah is bringing charges against Judah. He is about to punish Jacob for all his deceitful ways and pay him back for all he has done. Even in the womb, Jacob struggled with his brother. When he became a man, he even fought with God. Yes, he wrestled with the angel and won. He wept and pled for a blessing from him. There at Bethel, he met Yahuwah face to face, and Yahuwah spoke to him. The Lord God of heaven's armies, Yahuwah is his name. So now come back to your God, act with love and justice, and always depend on him. But no, the people are like crafty merchants, selling from dishonest scales. They love to cheat. Israel boasts, I am rich. I have made a fortune all by myself. No one has caught me cheating. My record is spotless. But I am Yahuwah, your God, who rescues you from slavery in Egypt, and I will make you live in tents again, as you do each year at the festival of shelters. I sent my prophets to warn you with many visions and parables, but the people of Gilead are worthless because of their idol worship. And in Gilgal, too, they sacrifice bulls. Their altars are lined up like the heaps of stone along the edges of a plowed field. Jacob fled there to the land of Aram, and there he earned a wife by tending sheep. Then, by a prophet, Yahuwah brought Jacob's descendants out of Egypt, and by that prophet they were protected. But the people of Israel have bitterly provoked Yahuwah, so Yahuwah will now sentence them to death in payment for their sins. And that, my beautiful people, is our reading for today. We'll finish the book of Hosea tomorrow. How many chapters in Hosea? Hold on. Let me just double check. I thought it was going to show the what you call it. But anyway, I'll look at it later. All right, y'all. So let's start here. What we've been waiting for. Caesar's Mashiach, or Caesar's Messiah. Yesterday, I left the link in the description box and I pinned it in the comment section on both Facebook and on YouTube, right? And I'll do it for every day that we are reading this. You can get it in paperback copy. You can get the Audible version. And you can also get it on Kindle. So you have multiple ways of getting it. I have the hardback and I have the Audible. So I'm listening to it as well. So I like to listen to it while I'm working because sometimes I don't always have time just to kind of sit and read. So books that I can get on audio, I get on audio. That's how I'm able to consume a lot and read a lot of books. I tell you, I love technology for certain things. I really do. All right, y'all. So Caesar's Messiah, the Roman conspiracy to invent Jesus by Joseph Atwill. And this is the Flavian signature edition. Hold on, let me clean my glasses. And I'm about to read the back cover of this. And this, like I said, this is it's not by the same author that did the true authorship of the New Testament. It's a different person, but although there's a lot of resources by the gentleman, his last name I Voigt, that did the true authorship of the New Testament. On his website, there are a lot of resources and he goes into detail. But also this guy and his team of people have massive resources as well. And some of them, they will give you some of the same resources, but he goes into a lot of the historical details and he pulls. That's why this book is so thick. It's 412 pages. 412 pages, but it's chock full of stories, and he's actually pulling the stories out. We're going to read it, and then he's going to take the portions from the New Testament and read that and break it down and show you what was pulled from where, Who changed whose name? All of that. Guys, are so good. Okay, let's read the back. Challenging and provocative. If what Joseph Atwill is saying is only partially true, we are looking into the abyss. Yo, yes, we are. Right? And that was a quote by Robert Eisman, the author of James, the brother of Jesus. Was Jesus the invention of a Roman emperor? The author of this groundbreaking book believes he was. Caesar's Messiah reveals the key to a new and revolutionary understanding of Christian origins. The clues leading to its startling conclusions are found in those writings of the first century historian Flavius Josephus, whose War of the Jews is one of the only historical chronicles of this period. Closely comparing the work of Josephus with the New Testament Gospels, Caesar's Messiah demonstrates that the Romans directed the writing of both. Their purpose? To offer a vision of a peaceful Messiah who would serve as an alternative to the revolutionary leaders who were rocking first century Israel and threatening Rome. Right? Remember, we talked about it. They had to kill the Hebrews. And since they couldn't really, they were killing them, but since they kept multiplying, they had to figure out a way to trick them or usurp them, right? And there was no other way that they could find except through tampering with their laws, right? Yeah. Hold on. Yahusha means Yahuwah is salvation. Shalom, shalom. Okay. Similarly, Caesar's Messiah will rock our understanding of Christian history as it reveals that Jesus was a fictional character portrayed in 4 Gospels written not by Christians but by Romans. This Flavian signature edition adds Atwill's latest discoveries of the numerous parallel events in sequence which ultimately reveal the identity of the true authors of the Gospel. Mom, shalom. All right, y'all. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. So, of course, you got the table of contents. I'll read over the table of contents. It's 16 chapters, and then it has an appendix. Okay, so what we're going to get through today is the historical overview. Then, chapter 1 is the first Christians and the Flavians. Chapter 2, fishers of men, men who were caught like fish. Chapter 3, the myth for the world. Chapter 4, the demons of Gadara. Chapter 5, the Flavian signature. Chapter 6, Eleazar or Lazarus, the real Christ. Chapter 7, the puzzle of the empty tomb. Chapter 8 is the new root and branch. Chapter 9, until all is fulfilled. Chapter 10, the authors of the New Testament. Chapter 11, the puzzle of Decius Mundus. Chapter 12, the Father and the Son of God. Chapter 13, Josephus's use of the book of Daniel. Chapter 14, building Jesus. Chapter 15, the apostles and the Maccabees. Chapter 16, the Samaritan woman and other parallels. Then you have the conclusion and the appendix. And then after that, in the appendix, it's a timeline of Jesus and Titus' lives. Then you have the end notes. Then you have the selected bibliography. And then the author's statement. All right, y'all. The introduction. Give us some water. Lisa, shalom, shalom. Remember, y'all, I said out the link to this, whichever version you want to get, it will be in the description box and pinned in the comment section. If you don't want to buy a copy, hey, you can just listen to me read it for the next couple months. Either way, you're gonna hear it. And also in the link, they also did I shared it before, but I'll keep sharing that as well. They actually put together a documentary to sum up all the evidence and findings that they found and prove that it was Josephus and his crew that created the New Testament and invented Jesus. And they give you detail for detail. And that is about think it's like 59 minutes long. It's about an hour. It's like it could be like an hour and 6 minutes. There's a couple different versions, but the one I got, I think the one that I put up there is like 58 minutes long. So when you get a chance to watch that, it's really, really insightful. It's just kind of like an overview of this. And it's not in movie form, it's like in documentary, and they're pulling up stuff. You'll see. If you haven't seen it, you'll see it's really, really good. So you should watch it. Okay. Introduction. A historical overview. In the popular mind and in the minds of most scholars, the origin of Christianity is clear. The religion began as a movement of the lower class followers of a radical Jewish teacher during the first century CE. For a number of reasons, however, I did not share this certainty. There were many gods worshipped during Jesus' era that are now seen as fictitious, and no archaeological evidence of his existence has ever been found. What contributed most to my skepticism was that at the exact time when the followers of Jesus were purportedly organizing themselves into a religion that urged its members to turn the other cheek and to give to Caesar what is Caesar's, another Judean sect was waging a religious war against the Romans. This sect, the Sicarii, also believed in the coming of a Messiah, but not one who advocated peace. They sought a Messiah who would lead them militarily. So let me just make a note. If you guys, there is an actual group out here of they're Hebrews, black people, and they call themselves the Sicarii, right? A lot of you may have heard of them. And a lot of them, you'll find that some of them, along with some of the other they're called the alphabet camps, right? The Hebrews that stand on the corner and they seem like they're extremely harsh, like they seem like they're preaching hate, they're yelling out the scriptures, and they're horrible, right? I ain't gonna say they're horrible, but listening to them is horrible. I tell you, kind of stay away from them. Mom. But anyway, this is why. Yes, baby.
Will you be done with your bubble? Will you make my smoothie?
Yes, boo. I make you a smoothie when I'm done. But if you understand a little bit about this and why they have the name Sicarii, you can kind of understand why they are. It's like they ain't taking no garbage off of nobody, and they don't care what you say. They come in, they don't care if you're Hebrew or non-Hebrew. They just gonna give it to you, right? And they be cursing. Some of them are really foul mouthed. Not all of them, Some of them are. They just really firm teachers on what they believe, right? But they have that militaristic mindset, which is why they chose the name Sicarii in the first place, because of who the Sicarii originally were, right? Now, mind you, they didn't believe in this pansy type Jesus, sweet, kissing everybody, kissing babies and stuff. They didn't believe in that. They said he's a military leader. I mean, they're looking for a military strong leader that was going to help overthrow the kingdom of Rome, who had run roughshod over the entire world, right? Okay, so just when you hear that name and you see them, just understand that, right? This sect, let me go back. I'll go back a sentence. What contributed most to my skepticism was that at that exact time when the followers of Jesus were purportedly organizing themselves into a religion that urged its members to turn the other cheek and to give Caesar what is Caesar's, another Judean sect was waging a religious war against the Romans. This sect, the Sicarii, also believed in the coming of a Messiah, but not the one who advocated peace. They sought a Messiah who would lead them militarily. It seemed implausible that two diametrically opposed forms of Messianic Judaism would have emerged from Judea at the same time. This is why the Dead Sea Scrolls were of such interest to me, and I began what turned into a decade-long study of them. Like so many others, I was hoping to learn something of Christianity's origins in the 2,000-year-old documents found at Qumran. And a lot of you are probably familiar with those scrolls that they found at Qumran, right? They call them the Qumran scrolls, right? Okay. I also began studying the other two major works from this era, the New Testament and the Wars of the Jews. by Flavius Josephus, an adopted member of the imperial family. I hope to determine how the scrolls related to them. While reading these two works side by side, I noticed a connection between them. Certain events from the ministry of Jesus seem to closely parallel episodes from the military campaign of the Roman Emperor Titus Flavius, as he attempted to gain control of the rebellious Jews in Judea. Now, those that they're labeling rebellious are the ones who weren't falling for Rome's crap, right? We ain't doing this. We have our own set of laws, rules, and regulations that we live by, and we're not submitting to the Roman rule, right? So, and that's the part where the New Testament kind of keeps it like under wraps. They don't want you to know that there was constantly Hebrews fighting against the Roman rule, right? They were not having it. My efforts to understand this relationship led me to uncover the amazing secret that is the subject of this book. This imperial family, the Flavians, created Christianity. And even more incredibly, they incorporated a skillful satire of the Jews in the Gospels and the wars of the Jews to inform posterity of this fact. The Flavian dynasty lasted from 69 to 96 CE, the period when most scholars believe the Gospels were written. It consisted of three Caesars, Vespasian and his two sons, Titus and Domitian. Flavius Josephus, the adopted member of the family who wrote Wars of the Jews, was their official historian. The satire they created is difficult to see. If it were otherwise, it would not have remained unnoticed for 2 millennia. However, as readers may judge for themselves, the path that the Flavians left for us is a clear one. All that is really needed to walk down it is an open mind. But why then has this satire relationship between Jesus and Titus not been noticed before? This question is especially apt in light of the fact that the works that reveal their satire, the New Testament, and the histories of Josephus, are perhaps the most scrutinized books in literature. One part of the explanation is clear. Viewing the Gospels as satire, that is, as a literary composition, as opposed to a history in which human folly is held up to ridicule, require a reader to contradict a deeply ingrained belief. Yo, and I'm telling you, this is the way he explained this. I'm like, bro, you ain't speaking nothing but the truth, because that is what began to happen. I shared it with y'all all the time. I spent most of my life in the New Testament. That's all I knew. I can recite it to you almost word for word, right? That's what I did. That's what I lived, and I was faithful to it, right? Until a few years ago, I began to get like this little knock on my dome. Hey, girl, it's time to wake up now, right? And so as I began to spend more time in the Old Testament, that's when it starts like that. You begin to notice some things aren't quite right. There are some contradictions. All these things begin to happen like in that order. And then you start going to look and you start researching and you start to pull things up and you start to try to make sense of all of this stuff. And then you realize the Hebrews in the Old Testament are completely different from the Hebrews in the New. And then it's like the God in the Old Testament is completely different from the God in the New. And then it's like, wait a minute, what is going on here? And then you just keep pulling at that sweater string, and the whole story begins to unravel. The whole sweater begins to unravel, right? And so that's what he's meant. Hold on. There we go. So this is like what he's saying, right? Listen. However, as readers may judge for themselves, the path that the Flavians left for us is a clear one. All that is really needed to walk down it is an open mind. But why then has the satirical relationship between Jesus and Titus not been noticed before? This question is especially apt in light of the fact that the works reveal their satire. The New Testament and the histories of Josephus are perhaps the most scrutinized books in literature. One part of the explanation is clear. viewing the Gospels as satire, that is, as a literary composition, as opposed to a history in which human folly is held up to ridicule, require a reader to contradict a deeply ingrained belief. And that's what began to happen. That deeply ingrained belief in me began to be contradicted by the other things that I was actually reading in the same book, mind you, right? Once Jesus was universally established as a world historical individual, any other possibility, any other possibility became eventually invisible. The more we believed in Jesus as a world historical figure, the less we were able to understand him in any other way. Moreover, the satirical level of the Gospels has not been discovered because it was designed to be difficult to see. The Flavian Caesars wanted more than just to transform Messianic Judaism, they wanted Christianity to flourish and become widely held, even worldwide, before the Gospel's satirical level was discovered. Why did they wish this? Because they wanted legacy and they needed to fool the world to prove to posterity how clever they were. Though on their surface the Gospels appear to be religious literature, which many believe were written by the Jewish followers of a messianic leader, they actually stem from the overwrought vanity of Roman Caesars desiring the populace to worship them as gods. To understand the historical conditions that caused the Flavians to create Christianity, one needs to understand the political conditions that the family faced in Judea in 74 CE following their defeat of the Sakari, a movement of Messianic Jews. But to understand this requires looking back even farther in time. The process that ultimately led to the Flavians' control over Judea was part of a broader and longer struggle that between Judaism and Hellenism. Judaism, which is based upon monotheism and faith, was simply incompatible with Hellenism, the Greek culture that promoted polytheism and rationalism. Hellenism spread into Judea after Alexander the Great conquered the area in 333 BCE. BCE stands for before the Common Era. Alexander and his successors established cities throughout their empire to act as centers of commerce and administration. They set up more than 30 Greek cities within Judea itself. The people of Judea, in spite of their historical resistance to outside influences, began to incorporate certain traits of the Greek ruling class into their culture. Many Semites found it desirable, if not necessary, to speak Greek. Wealthy Jews sought a Greek education for their young men. Gymnasia introduced Jewish students to Greek myths, sports, music, and arts. The Seleucids, the descendants of Seleucus, the commander of Alexander's elite guard, gained control over the region from Ptolemies, the descendant of another of Alexander's generals, in 200 BCE, when Antiochus IV, or as he preferred, Epiphanes, that is, God manifest. That's what Epiphanes is, God manifest, although we know he is not God manifest. That's what he called himself. They were so big headed, y'all. They were so big headed. When Antiochus IV, or as he preferred, Epiphanes, that is, God manifest, became the Seleucid ruler in 169 BCE, he became Judea's nightmare. Clearly, we read about that, right? And what he did in the first book of Maccabees, which Daniel also talks about and refers to, right? But all of this is going to tie in together, y'all. Antiochus was openly contemptuous of Judaism and wanted to modernize Jewish religion and culture. He installed high priests who were supportive of his policies. When a rebellion against Hellenization broke out in 168 BCE, Antiochus ordered his army to attack Jerusalem. Second Maccabees records the number of Jews slain in battle as 40,000, with another 40,000 taken captive and enslaved. Antiochus emptied the temple of its treasury, violated the Holy of Holies, and intensified his policy of Hellenization. Hellenization. He ordered the observances of the Hebrew cult to be replaced with Hellenistic worship. He banned circumcision and sacrifice, instituted a monthly observance of his birthday, and placed a statue of Zeus on the Temple Mount. In 167 BCE, the Maccabees, a family of religiously zealous Jews, led a revolution against Antiochus's imposition of Hellenistic customs and religions. They sought to restore power to the religion that they believed was mandated by God in his holy land. The Maccabees compelled the inhabitants of the cities They compelled the inhabitants of the cities they conquered to convert to Judaism. Males either permitted themselves to be circumcised or were slain. After a 20-year struggle, the Maccabees eventually prevailed against the Seleucids. To quote First Maccabees, the yoke of the Gentiles was removed from Israel. And that's in First Maccabees chapter 13, verse 41. Though the Maccabees went on to rule Israel for more than 100 years, their kingdom was never secure. The Seleucid threat to the region was replaced by an even greater one from Rome. Roman expansionism and Hellenistic culture constantly threatened to engulf the religious state that the Maccabees had established. In 65 BCE, a war broke out between two Maccabean rivals for the throne. It was at this time that Antipater, the Edomite, the wily father of Herod, appeared on the scene. Antipater helped bring about a Roman intervention in the civil war, and when Pompey sent his legate Sicarius into Judea with a Roman army, it marked the beginning of the end of the Maccabean religious state. For the next 30 years, 65 to 37 BCE. I don't know why they got time going backwards. I never really understood that. I'm sure I will, but I don't know why they go from 65 to 64 to 60 and backwards in time, right? It's crazy why they did that. Judea suffered through one war after another. In 40 BCE, the last Maccabean ruler, Mattathias Antigonus, seized control of the country. By this time, however, the Herodian family was firmly established as Rome's surrogate in the region, and with Roman support, defeated Matthias's army and gained control of Judea. After the destruction of the Maccabean state, the Sicarii, a new movement against Roman and Herodian control, emerged. This was a movement of lower class Jews, originally called Zealots, who continued the Maccabees' religious struggle against the control of Judea by outsiders and sought to restore Eretz Israel. The efforts of the Sicarii reached a climax in 66 CE when they succeeded in driving the Roman forces from the country. The Emperor Nero ordered Flavius Vespasian to enter Judea with a large army and end the revolt. The violent struggle that ensued left the country devastated and concluded when Rome captured the Judean fortress in Masada in 73 CE. In the midst of the Judean war, forces loyal to the Flavian family in Rome revolted against the last of the Julio-Claudian emperors, Vitellius. Hold on, let me read this again. In the midst of the Judean war, forces loyal to the Flavian family in Rome revolted against the last of the Julio-Claudian emperors, Vitellius, and seized the capital. Vespasian returned to Rome to be proclaimed emperor, leaving his son Titus in Judea to finish off the rebels. Following the war, the Flavians shared control over this region between Egypt and Syria with two families of powerful Hellenized Jews, the Herods and the Alexanders. These three families shared a common financial interest in preventing any future revolts. They also shared a long standing and intricate personal relationship that can be traced to the household of Antonia, the mother of Emperor Claudius. Antonia employed Julius Alexander Lysimachus, the Albalarch, or ruler of the Jews of Alexandria, as her financial steward around 45 CE. Julius, Julius was the elder brother of the famous Jewish philosopher Philo Judaeus, the leading intellectual figure of Hellenistic Judaism. Philo's writings attempted to merge Judaism with Platonic philosophy. Scholars believe that his work provided the authors of the Gospels with some of their religious and philosophical perspective. Antonia's private secretary, Sanus, was also the long-term mistress of Vespasian. Julius Alexander Lysimachus and Vespasian would therefore have known one another through their shared connection with the household of Antonia. Julius had two sons. The elder, Marcus, married Herod's niece Bernice as a teenager, creating a bond between the Alexanders and the Herods. These names might sound familiar as they're mentioned in the New Testament and some New Testament references. Bernice, right? Julius had two sons. The elder, Marcus, married Herod's niece, Bernice, as a teenager, creating a bond between the Alexanders and the Herods, the Roman sponsored ruling family of Judea. Marcus died young, and Bernice eventually became the mistress of Vespasian's son, Titus. Bernice thereby connected the Flavians and the Alexanders, the family of her first husband, to her family, the Herods. Julius's younger son, Tiberius Alexander, was another important link between the families. He inherited his father's entire estate after the death of his brother Marcus, making him one of the richest men in the world. He renounced Judaism and assisted the Flavians with their war against the Jews, contributing both money and troops, as did the Herodian family. Tiberius was the first to publicly declare his allegiance to Vespasian as emperor and thereby helped begin the Flavian dynasty. When Vespasian returned to Rome to assume the mantle of emperor, he left Tiberius behind to assist his son Titus with the destruction of Jerusalem. Though the three families had been able to put down the revolt, they still faced a potential threat. Many Jews continued to believe that Yahuwah, or that God, would send a Messiah, a son of David, who would lead them against the enemies of Judea. Flavius Josephus records that what had most elevated the Sicarii to fight against Rome was their belief that God would send a Messiah to Israel who would lead his faithful to military victory. Now, you got to understand why they would think that. If you're familiar and if you spent time reading through the Old Testament, remember, as we go through the book of Kings and Chronicles, every time they're led into a bondage or they are overthrown by an outside country that comes and takes over Jerusalem and lead them into captivity, Yahuwah always raises up a deliverer from among them, right? They were called, after Moses, they were called judges. And then you had the kings, right? So this is what they're looking for. Good afternoon, Jerry. Shalom, shalom. I agree. I haven't used it at all. I didn't even, since I started reading, Jerry said, good afternoon, shalom from over here in the UK. Hey, UK, in the UK. Can we please ask, after watching your videos, should we not use the New Testament anymore? The only reason why I use it while I'm reading is to give reference and stuff, right? Like I said, some people will still use it. It's some good, yes, babe.
Doesn't. It's
His time is up at 12.
Yes. Okay. Phone over there. Hey. Chill. There are some good stories that you can use for teaching lessons and stuff, but I just kind of stray away from it all unless I'm reading something and giving you references and comparing and sharing. We really stopped reading our household. Like I once I realized it, like when I told you, like when I realized all this and I was sick for weeks at this, I stopped reading it. Like I was teaching my children to recite the Lord's Prayer and everything. Like they all still know it by heart. Like, and I feel horrible that I even taught them that, right? But I thought I was doing what was right. So now we replace it with the blessing, right? The blessing that we read every day. And the Shema, right? So hey, when you know better, you do better. But yeah, I agree. We don't. But the only time we use it is in references while we're teaching people about the origins of what it is, right? And it's a complete mockery of Yahuwah's people, really to dumb them down and not to call on him. They get them confused looking into all of the places except for where they really should be looking, right? It's the best war tactic that they ever used against a nation. If it could, because it's created over 4,000 years ago, right? And you will see why I say 4,000 years ago. We're gonna read through this, right? And it's still subduing Yahuwah's people, right? Okay, but I agree, Jerry. Hey, from the UK. All right, listen, turn it down a little bit, y'all. Flavius Josephus records that what had most elevated the Sicarii to fight against Rome was their belief that God would send a Messiah to Israel who would lead his faithful to military victory. Though the Flavians, Herods, and Alexanders had ended the Jewish revolt, the families had not destroyed the messianic religion of the Jewish rebels. Hey guys, turn that down. Who is that right there? Isaiah. Thank you. The families needed to find a way to prevent the zealots from inspiring future uprisings through their belief in a coming warrior Messiah. Then someone from within this circle had an inspiration, one that changed history. The way to tame Messianic Judaism would be to simply transform it into a religion that would cooperate with the Roman Empire. So remember when the Sicarii, those who were fighting against the Roman rule, when they were called Messianics, when you refer to them as Messianics, they're not talking about Jesus or somebody else. They're literally talking about Yahuwah alone, based on Yahuwah's his pattern of always raising up a judge or a king or a deliverer, someone that will help come set them free from the current rule, right? Jesus didn't do that. He just kind of dumbed you down a whole lot more and made you submit to everybody. Kiss them on the cheek, turn your cheek, let them kiss you on your cheek. You know what? They slap you, give them your other cheek too. They need a coat, give them all your clothes. I'm like, what kind of crap is this? And you walk around here naked. Let me finish reading this, y'all. We ain't got no much time. Hold on. All right. Okay. Though the Flavians, Herods, and Alexanders had ended the Jewish revolt, the families had not destroyed the messianic religion of the Jewish rebels. The families needed to find a way to prevent the zealots from inspiring future uprisings through their belief in a coming warrior Messiah. Then someone from within the circle had an inspiration, one that changed history. The way to tame Messianic Judaism would be to simply transform it into a religion that would cooperate with the Roman Empire. To achieve this goal would require a new type of Messianic literature. Thus, we know as the Christian Gospels were created. In a convergence unique in history, the Flavians, Herods, and brought together the elements necessary for the creation and implementation of Christianity. They had the financial motivation to replace the militaristic religion of the Sicarii, the expertise in Judaism and philosophy necessary to create the Gospels, and the knowledge and bureaucracy created to implement a religion. The Flavians created and maintained a number of religions other than Christianity. Clearly, we know Islam is one because they wrote the Quran too. Y'all, everybody that's over there and you fighting against the Christians, they've turned family against family. They've invited you up. Give you this story. Let's give y'all this story. We're gonna put the same kind of satire characters in both of them and got everybody looking foolish. Moreover, and because you got to think about the outcome of all of this. These, what do they accomplish? All they do is gather to themselves Christians or Muslims. They separate themselves from the world, or the only reason why they go out and mingle with the world is to bring them into their garbage, to evangelize them, bring them inside of this garbage and immobilize them. Now you got people who were once being productive out here in the world doing growing things. Now you bring them in and completely have them focus on this right here, this lie, where they're no longer a threat to the world and changing the world powers that be. And the Roman beast system just completely continues to spiral out of control, subduing everybody. And those who had in mind with common sense to do something to fight back against the system or infiltrate their system to take it back over to bring real peace and honor to nations and to really perform righteous judgment. You got all those people now caught up into this stupidity, waiting on a savior to come save them, and all they doing now is huddling inside of these buildings amongst each other, doing a bunch of dumb crap, getting prostituted for all the money that they didn't work hard for. Like all of this, guys, it gets my blood boiling. This is how they subdue people who literally could affect change all over the world. Let's separate. Let's get them all huddled to themselves, right? We know where they're gonna be at on Sundays and Wednesdays and all these other days. They get all these. Yo. I just let me finish reading this, or I ain't gonna finish this introduction today. Hold on. Okay. They had the financial motivation to replace the militaristic religion of the Sakari, the expertise in Judaism and philosophy necessary to create the Gospels, and the knowledge and bureaucracy required to implement a religion. The Flavians created and maintained a number of religions other than Christianity. Moreover, these families were absolute rulers over the territories where the first Christian congregations began. To produce the Gospels required a deep understanding of Judaic literature or of the Hebrew scriptures, right? That's why I say Paul, ooh, ooh, Paul got so many people twisted and chopped and screwed because to produce the Gospels require a deep understanding of Judaic literature. The Gospels would not simply replace the literature of the old religion, but would be written in such a way as to demonstrate that Christianity was the fulfillment of the prophecies of Judaism and had therefore grown directly from it. To achieve these effects, the Flavian intellectuals made use of a technique used throughout Judaic literature, which is called typology. Hey, turn it down. That's Isaiah. Thank you. It keeps going up. Keep it down. The Flavian intellectuals made. Okay, just if it start turning up by itself, you just turn it down. The Flavian intellectuals made use of a technique used throughout Judaic literature. It's called typology. The genre of typology is not often used today. In its most basic sense, typology is simply the use of prior events to provide form and context for subsequent ones, similar to using an archetype or stereotype to create a new character in literature. The typology in the Gospels is very specific. The system uses repeating names, locations, or concepts in the same sequence. Typology is used throughout Judaic literature as a way of transferring information and meaning from one story to another to show the pattern of the hand of God at work. For example, the book of Esther uses type scenes from the story of Joseph in the book of Genesis so that the alert reader will understand that Esther and Mordecai are repeating the role of Joseph as an agent of God. Okay, so here's a chart and it's about to give you the typology. Shayla, hey girl, hey. All right, Joseph rises to high position in the Egyptian government through his beauty and wisdom. Esther, Mordecai. Esther rises to high position in the Persian government through her beauty and wisdom. Joseph, Joseph's good deed, which was interpreting the butler's dream, is forgotten for a long time. Mordecai's good deed, saving the king's life, is forgotten for a long time. Joseph, a character refuses to listen. She spoke to Joseph every day, but he refused to listen, which is found in Genesis 39, verse 10. Remember, that was Potiphar's wife. She was trying to get at him. Over here, character refuses to listen. Of Esther Mordecai, character refuses to listen. They told him every day, but he refused to listen. You can find that at Esther 3 and verse 4. Then you got Joseph. Pharaoh's chief servant is hung. He put hang, I just say hung. And Esther Mordecai, the chief's servant is hung. And Joseph reveals his identity to Pharaoh after a feast. The Esther Mordecai, Esther reveals her identity to the king after a feast. The authors of the Gospels use typology to create the impression that events from the lives of prior Hebrew prophets were types of events from Jesus' life. In doing so, they were trying to convince their readers that their story of Jesus was a continuation of the divine relationship that existed between the Hebrew prophets and God. At the very beginning of the Gospels, the authors created a crystal clear typological relationship between Jesus and Moses. The authors placed this sequence at the beginning of their work to show the reader how the real meaning of the New Testament will be revealed. The sequence begins in Matthew chapter 2, verse 13, where Joseph is described as bringing Jesus, who represents the new Israel, down to Egypt. This event parallels Genesis 45 through 50, where a previous Joseph brought the old Israel down to Egypt. Back up. Back up. Oh, excuse me. Bless me. Thank you. Okay. The authors of the gospel associated their Joseph with the prior one by means of more than just a shared name and a journey to Egypt. The New Testament Joseph is described like his counterpart in the Hebrew Bible as a dreamer of dreams and as having encounters with a star and wise men. Both stories regarding the journey of a Joseph to Egypt are immediately followed by a description of a massacre of innocents. The stories concerning the massacre of innocents are not exactly parallel. Jesus is not, for example, saved by being put in a boat on the River Jordan and then by being adopted by Herod's daughter. The typology used within Judaic literature does not require verbatim quotations or descriptions. Rather, the author takes only enough information from the event that is being used as the type to allow the reader to recognize that the prior event relates to the one being described. In this case, each massacre of the innocent story depicts young children being slaughtered by a fearful tyrant, but the future savior of Israel being saved. Bless you. I might need to change these filters in here. Everybody's sneezing. Oh my gosh. I think that's what it is. We haven't changed them in a little while. I just thought about it. The authors of the New Testament then continued mirroring Exodus by having an angel tell Joseph, "The dead are they are dead which sought the young child's life." Matthew chapter 2, verse 20. This statement is a clear parallel to the statement made to Moses, the first savior of Israel, in Exodus chapter 4:19. All the men are dead which sought thy life. The parallels then continue with Jesus receiving a baptism in Matthew chapter 3, verse 13, which mirrors the baptism of the Israelites, passing through the water, described in Exodus chapter 14. Next, Jesus spends 40 days in the desert, which parallels the 40 years the Israelites spent in the wilderness. Both sojourns in a desert involve three sets of temptations. In Exodus, it is God who is tempted. In the Gospels, it is Jesus, the Son of God. In Exodus, it is the Israelites who tempt God. They first tempt him by asking for bread, at which time they learn that man does not live by bread alone. You can find that in Exodus chapter 16. The second time is at Massa, where they are told not to tempt the Lord. That's in Exodus chapter 17. On the third occasion, when they make the golden calf at Mount Sinai, which is found in Exodus chapter 32, they learn to fear the Lord thy God and serve him only. Jesus' three temptations are by the devil and are a mirror of God's temptations by the Israelites, as his responses show. To his first temptation, which is found in Matthew 4:4, he replies, man shall not live by bread alone. To the second, which is found in Matthew chapter 4, verse 7, he replies, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. And to the third, which is found in Matthew chapter 4 and verse 10, he replies, thou shalt worship the Lord thy God, and only him thou shalt serve. Though the parallels between Jesus and Moses are typological and not verbatim, the sequence in which these events occur is. The fact that the parallel concepts occur in the same order is proof that Moses, the first savior of Israel, was used as a type for Jesus, the second savior of Israel. Okay, that's about to give you the parallels between the Old Testament and the book of Matthew. Okay, so Old Testament in Genesis chapter 45 through 50, Joseph goes to Egypt. In Matthew chapter 2, verse 13, Joseph goes to Egypt. It's a different Josephs. Pay attention, y'all. This get good. It's so blatant that it's a wonder why none of us ever caught it until now, right? Look. People been catching, I'm just saying us. We're the latecomers to the party. We just now waking up, right? But as you look at it, people been telling us for years and decades. We finding stuff where people been trying to wake us up for decades. What is y'all doing? Pay attention. Remember I told you some of these stuff, they wrote this stuff back in the 70s trying to wake people up. Y'all, what is y'all doing? All of this is a lie. This is how everybody has been held down. This is how the government is running roughshod over everybody and controlling the whole world. Right? Old Testament. Exodus chapter 1. Pharaoh massacres boys. In Matthew chapter 2, verse 16, Herod massacres boys. In the Old Testament in Exodus, all the men are dead which sought thy life. In New Testament in Matthew chapter 2, verse 20, they are dead which sought the young child's life. In the Old Testament in Exodus chapter 12, from Egypt to Israel. In the New Testament in Matthew chapter 2, verse 21, from Egypt to Israel. In the Old Testament, Exodus chapter 14, passing through the water, baptism. In the New Testament, Matthew chapter 3, verse 13, baptism, passing through the water. In the Old Testament, Exodus chapter 16, in the wilderness, tempted by bread. In the New Testament, Matthew chapter 4 and 4, in the wilderness, tempted by bread. In the Old Testament, Exodus chapter 17, do not tempt God. In the New Testament, Matthew chapter 4, verse 7, do not tempt God. In Old Testament, Exodus chapter 32, worship God only. In New Testament, Matthew chapter 4, verse 10, worship God only. The typological sequence in Matthew that establishes Jesus as the new savior of Israel is well known to scholars. Hold on, let me see how much more of this intro we got because we already at hour. Oh yeah, we're gonna finish this. We only got like 2.5 more pages, so I'll finish it. Okay. The typological sequence in Matthew that establishes Jesus as the new savior of Israel is well known to scholars. What has not been widely recognized is that the story also reveals the political perspective of the authors of the New Testament. In the Hebrew Bible, it is the Israelites who tempt God, but notice that the devil takes their place in the parallel New Testament story. This equating of the Israelites with the devil is consistent with what the Flavians thought of the Messianic Jews, that they were demons, right? They thought all the Hebrews, or calling them Jews, were demons, right? So remember, we read, if you missed yesterday, where the whole portion about Satan from the true authorship of the New Testament. Go back. That's towards the end of the video. All right, y'all. Moreover, the parallel sequence demonstrates that the Gospels were designed to be read intertextually, that is, in direct relationship to the other books of the Bible. This is the only way that literature based on types can be understood. In other words, as the example concerning Jesus's infancy illustrates, to understand the Gospels, meaning a reader must recognize that the concepts, sequences, and locations in Matthew are parallel to the concepts, sequences, and locations in Genesis and Exodus, where their context has already been established. And let me tell you why most people never recognize it, because they never go read it. And I probably would have never recognized it if I did not spend as much time reading through the Old Testament diligently, like I spent my time diligently always reading through the New, right? Because I was familiar with the New, and I took that same energy and did it in the Old Testament, I began to recognize it. But those who only read the New Testament and sporadically just go proof text scriptures, oh yeah, that happened, they never get it. And they're kept in the sixth cycle of this delusion, and they never figure it out. And they look at us like we got a horn growing out the middle of our foreheads, right? And we sound crazy to them. We sound like the Antichrist to them. Matter of fact, it teaches you that we are the Antichrist when we begin to wake you up. Remember, they just told you how they looked at the Hebrews, right? They foresaw this. Eventually, somebody was going to break up from this and wake up from this strong delusion. They was going to start letting people know, but they already get you ready over here in the New Testament. Anybody that comes with another gospel other than what we taught you is the Antichrist. My G, y'all is preaching another gospel. Y'all is the Antichrist, right? Moreover, listen, if you never read it, you never get it, and you stay stuck. Let me go back. This equating of the Israelites with the devil is consistent with what the Flavians thought of the Messianic Jews, that they were demons. Remember, Messianic, during this era, Messianic Jews was not those ones who were looking for Jesus or Yahusha or Yeshua or Yehoshua, Yahawashai. It wasn't them, because that's the, however you term that, that's still Jesus. You just gave him Hebrew terms. When they were talking about Messianic, they were talking about the Messiah or the saviors or deliverers that Yahuwah raised up. They were talking about Yahuwah's pattern of delivering his people. And you will see that when you read through the books of Kings. Remember, and that type of deliverer or savior or Mashiach comes from within their nation. They are born and raised with that nation. They know the plight of the people. They've been there struggling with you. Yahuwah raises them up, strengthens them, gives them honor, authority, everything, right? And the people know that person like intimately. Yes, Nehemiah, let's go. Esther, yes. Moses, yes, although Moses, but they recognized that who Moses was, although he was taken away. And once Moses realized who he was, he's like, I got to go back to my people, right? But that's who they were referring to when they say Messianic Jews during this time. It was the proper understanding of what a Messiah was, right? That Yahuwah himself would raise up a deliverer, which was like the captain on the earth for his people. That type of Messiah. That's the proper understanding of that, right? Moreover, the parallel sequence demonstrates that the Gospels were designed to be read intertextually, that is, in direct relationship to the other books of the Bible. This is the only way that literature based on types can be understood. In other words, as the example concerning Jesus's infancy illustrates, to understand the Gospels, meaning a reader must recognize that the concepts, sequences, and locations in Matthew are parallel to the concepts, sequences and locations in Genesis and Exodus where their context has already been established. By using scenes from Judaic literature as types for events in Jesus' ministry, the authors hope to convince their readers that the Gospels were a continuation of the Hebrew literature that had inspired the Sicarii to revolt, and that therefore Jesus was the Messiah whom the rebels were hoping God would send them. In this way, they would strip Messianic Judaism of its power to spawn insurrections, since the Messiah was no longer coming but had already come. Further, the Messiah was not the xenophobic military leader that the Sicarii were expecting, but rather the multiculturalist who urged his followers to turn the other cheek. The sweet loving Jesus. Everybody is welcome, right? Everybody. Is this your God? Is this your God? Is this your leader? Is this your leader? He ain't my leader. And if the Gospels achieve only the replacement of the militaristic messianic movement with a pacifistic one, they would have been one of the most successful pieces of propaganda in history. And we know we living in that day. They didn't did something. They accomplished their purpose for far too long. But ain't no more of that garbage going on here. Ain't none. Let me read that again. If the Gospels achieve only the replacement of the militaristic messianic movement, and mind you, this right here, why they got everybody waiting on this sweet kissing everybody baby Jesus to come back, none of the leaders who should be rising up would ever rise up. We waiting on Jesus. We waiting on Yeshua. He's our leader. He's our king. He gonna come lead us. It immobilizes all those who have it in them to rise up and lead the people and get the nation rocking and rolling again. Where are they at? Where are y'all at? Right? If the Gospels achieve only the replacement of the militaristic messianic movement with a pacifistic one, they would have been one of the most successful pieces of propaganda in history. But the authors wanted even more. They wanted not merely to pacify religious warriors of Judea, but to make them worship Caesar as a god. And they accomplished both, right? It's disgusting. If I wasn't sitting inside of my own house, I would spit on the ground. Hey, just take it off the hook. And they take it off the hook. Just for a moment. And they wanted to inform posterity that they had done. So hold, let me go back. Look. Let me just read that again. If the Gospels achieve only the replacement of the militaristic messianic movement with a pacifistic one, they would have been one of the most successful pieces of propaganda in history. But the authors wanted even more. They wanted not merely to pacify religious warriors of Judea, but to make them worship Caesar as God. And they wanted to inform posterity that they had done so. The populations of the Roman provinces were permitted to worship in a way. Hang it up. Do me a favor. Come over here and unplug it. I leave it unplugged because ain't anybody that needs to get in touch with us have our cell phone numbers. Unplug this. We only keep the landline for emergencies only. Unplug it. Thank you. That way it won't keep ringing. Because don't nobody call that line. For real. But people that get it by mistake or dialing wrong numbers. Look. Rod Shalom. Robert. Shalom. Oh, that might be Trina. But anyway, Shalom. Look. Okay. The name look familiar like the husband of one of my friends. Okay. The population of Roman provinces were permitted to worship in any way they wished, with one exception. They had to allow Caesar to be worshipped in their temples. This was incompatible with monotheistic Judaism. Yes, baby.
After you done, I can end it.
Yes, in a minute. At the end of the 66 through 73 CE war, Flavius Josephus recorded that no matter how Titus tortured the Sicarii, they refused to call him Lord. To circumvent the Jews' religious stubbornness, the Flavians therefore created a religion that worships Caesar without its followers knowing it, right? So everybody that's worshiping Jesus is in turn really worshiping Caesar. Oh, y'all better wake up. Y'all better wake up. Listen, it's the whole circle of deceit, right? They knew they couldn't make you on purpose. No, we're not giving up our God for your gods. What? They said, okay, we got to trick these people. And the Sakari, we sick of fighting them. We got to figure out something else. Listen, the Flavians therefore created a religion that worshiped Caesar without its followers knowing it. To achieve this, they used the same typological method they had used to link Jesus to Moses, creating parallel concepts, sequences, and locations. They created Jesus' entire ministry as a type of the military campaign of Titus. In other words, events from Jesus' ministry are symbolic representations of events from Titus's campaign. To prove that these typological scenes, are not accidental, the authors placed them in the same sequence and in the same locations in the Gospels as they had occurred in Titus's campaign. No, it's me working to a new life. I don't think that's my friend husband. Hold on. Yeah, I don't think that's my friend husband. The parallel scenes were designed to create another storyline. I think she hear Trina. Go over on YouTube. The parallel scenes were designed to create another storyline other than the one that appears on the surface. This typological storyline reveals that the Jesus who interacted with the disciples following the crucifixion, the actual Jesus that Christians have unwittingly worshipped for 2,000 years, was Titus Flavius. Bruh, may we all just repent again. Father, forgive us, for we knew not what we did. Father, forgive us all, right? Like, I repented of that a few years back, but just looking at this again, it just shake you deep down in your sha-na-na, right? Listen, Mariah, look, I was there. I feel you. I was deep in it. You talking about a Bible thumper? I was that. Bible thumper was my middle name, sis. Out there taking the classes, going on anything they got. I'm there, right? Sister, they call me Sister Pam. Listen, you talking about you felt stupid, sis. I wanted to disappear. I'm like, oh my gosh, what have I done with my life? Yo, all of us was there. We there. That's why we're here, right? That's why we're here. We all waking up together. We waking up together, Sister Pam. Okay, I'm almost done. I got like half a page off. Okay. The discovery of the Flavian invention of Christianity creates a new understanding of the entire first century CE. Such a revelation is disorienting, and the reader will find the following points useful in understanding the new history that this work presents. Christianity did not originate among the lower classes in Judea. It was a creation of a Roman imperial family, the Flavians. The Gospels were not written by the followers of a Jewish Messiah, but by the intellectual circle surrounding the three Flavian emperors, Vespasian and his two sons, Titus and Domitian. The Gospels were written following the 66 through 73 CE war between the Romans and the Jews, and many of the events in Jesus' ministry are satirical depictions of events from that war. The purpose of Christianity was supersession. Supersession. It was designed to replace the nationalistic and militaristic messianic movement in Judea. Remember what they considered messianic in that day, right? It was y'all alone, y'all choosing a leader coming from among our people. Remember hey, give it back. Thank you. Stop it. Okay. What do you have? What do you have in your hand? What do you have in your hand? What do you have? What do you need? 3? You need 3? Okay, chill out. I gotta order some more anyway.
And she's not good.
Wait, it really is you, Trina. I need you to verify. Is this your husband over here? The Robert McAdory on YouTube was this? I don't know. I don't know because I don't know. Okay, well it might. Okay, that might be Trina's husband. Okay, Trina, this might be your husband over here on YouTube. Okay, hold on. He said my wife stayed talking to me, and for me, when I started to say y'all's name out loud, doors open for me. Hey, wake up, Israel. Okay, Trina, this might be your husband then. Okay, y'all got me excited. Yo, I'm telling you, y'all, this stuff is real. Okay, let me finish. I'm almost done, y'all. Seriously, got a half a page left. Okay. The purpose of Christianity was supersession. It was designed to replace the nationalistic and militaristic messianic movement in Judea with a religion that was pacifistic and would accept Roman rule. After I had developed these findings, I waited several years before publishing them. Though I am no longer a Christian, it is clear that many of the philosophical teachings in the Gospels are beneficial, but I did not wish to cause Christians any harm. At the same time, I knew that many would find the information valuable. I did not want to contribute to the cynicism of our age. However, I do want to. Yes, baby.
Are you gonna get some of your water?
No, none of my water. Go get a bottle of water out the refrigerator in my room. Get your own. I do not want to contribute to the cynicism of our age. However, I do want to contribute to the creation of a more alert citizenry. Understanding that Christianity was a government project will help produce a new understanding of government. Eventually, my concern over not disclosing the findings simply overcame my fear of any negative impact. So after 2,000 years of misunderstanding, the real meaning of the Gospels is revealed. By turning this page, the reader will enter a new world, perhaps not a better world, but certainly a truer one. Okay. Hey, Trina, okay. Look, hold on, let me just say this. Robert, I know your wife been praying for you. She been working on you. She's like, look, my husband, they ain't believing none of this. His mom and them don't even want to talk to me because, we know everybody is Jesus. You know how we was raised, right? They ain't trying to hear us. Like, Trina, I get you. I fully understand. I say, you just live it, right? And you just do what you know to do. And they're going to start noticing. Right? I said, you ain't got to beat people over the head. I said, just live it, right? And don't, if you start kind of talking, they kind of change conversations. Okay, be aware of that, but just, you keep living it. You keep living the truth. And eventually, like, because a lot of time, if they go to church and they're Christians and they're gun-ho about Christianity, I'm not going to say that that's good. But they're like people, like I would say people like me, I ain't say like I wasn't perfect, but people like me who really think that this is the truth, this is my religion, the God I serve, and I'm here and I'm faithful to it. What you need, a volunteering at the church, you need somebody over here in the children's ministry, I can help. Like somebody like that who really truly believes inwardly that they are doing what is right, and they pray, they all of these things, they literally try their best to live this pure and holy life based on what they were taught and what they believe. People like that will wake up, right? All it's going to take is just somebody, they have to see something different, especially if Yahuwah is sending people to them. It's going to start dripping on them a little here and a little there, and they're going to start wondering about stuff. And especially if you live in a house with somebody and you decide, it's almost like you split roles, right? And what they put in here in the New Testament when Jesus said, I ain't come to unite, I came to divide. He sure did. He divided mother and daughter, husband and wife, father from son, everything, right? So when you return back to Yah, it's going to be the complete opposite of what the people who are following Jesus and in Christianity are doing. And it's going to start creating friction, right? It's going to cause friction in the household. I know it happened in my own family, in my house, but also in other family members in their homes, right? And it's like this friction, and it's like, what are you doing? Because this person because you were both Christians going to church together and stuff, and yes, praising the Lord, and all of this, right? But what happens is when you begin to break away from that because you begin noticing the shenanigans or who is really opening your eyes to what is really going on, you're like, wait a minute, what is going on here? It's like the one who still hasn't quite woken up yet. It's like, wait a minute, what you doing? Let me pray for you. Are you backsliding? You got some secret sin going on? And they really go in on you. They start sending you scriptures. I'm praying for, like, serious. I'm not saying this is what Robert was doing, but I'm just giving you experience from my personal and what's in my family, right? Because they're literally trying to save your soul based on what they taught. They don't want you to backslide and go to hell. Like, oh my gosh, Satan has got a hold. What are you doing? What are you doing in practice? I'm like, all this type of stuff. And they're doing everything they can to hold on to you till it's like, you know what? I'm just giving you up to Satan, right? And I got people, they send me emails like, sister, you were going off. I'm like, do you listen to anything I say? Like, or you just like read my titles? Like, you are not really here paying attention, are you? And they're genuine. And because I understand that, I don't argue with them, right? I say just sit around for a little while and listen to what I'm saying, So like, I'm out, I'm unsubscribing today. There was even one lady, she said, oh, I thought you was a sister, but I need to let y'all might have seen that comment. I left it there too, and I was laughing. It didn't really bother me. But that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about, because when you're so steep in religion and you can't see the lies because you're so deep in it, it's like, okay, I see a sister, you going off and say, pray for those, and okay, sister. But then it's like when what they saying to you ain't really budging you, it's like, I'm giving you over to your own desires. Let Satan take care of you. Maybe before you die, you'll come back to Jesus, right? I'm like, okay, well, see you. And sometimes it's kind of harsh, but I be kind of want to break people's state, break their mental state of delusion, right? So, but you will see that. But yeah, she was like, I'm gonna let all your followers know that they need to unsubscribe, that you are no sister, you are not a Christian. I said, you're absolutely right. I am not a Christian. Never said I was. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I'm about to make your fruit smoothie, sis. Okay, so with that being said, y'all, but yeah, that's how it happens. So I know some people, they start experiencing that because I get texts and emails from people, and some people it's hard because especially sometimes church family is really, a lot of times for most people, that's the only family you have, right? And it gets hard when you begin to that separation, and they come to check on you just for a period of time today, hand you over to Satan, right? But it's hard, and sometimes we grow really good relationships with people, and we have good times. We go out, spouses hang out together, and all these things, and it's like, man, so it becomes strained now because now our beliefs are different and we're growing, and it's uncomfortable, and we're kind of separated. And some people don't like that separation. I have one friend that she was telling me, and she was involved in ministry a lot, right? And she began to wake up. This was like last year, was kind of talking back and forth. And then she started saying, hey, she said, the pastor was saying this, and watch out for you, and this and this and that. I'm like, sis, I said, just pay attention. Ask them certain questions, right? But what began to happen, they pulled her back in. Like, she completely stopped talking to me. Like, I even see, I check on her from time. I don't go messing with her, but I would check on her from time to time. And they done pulled her back in. And it's like, I know she warned inside of herself, sis, because you were like, and she had even started using her social media to let people know, hey, wait a minute. But once she started getting that kickback and that flack from people, what are you talking about? You going off the deep end? She couldn't handle it. And I said, the only way you are going to make it through that, I said, you have to like literally immerse yourself in Torah. Like, you have to literally begin fasting. Otherwise, people are going to draw you back in. You're not going to be able to withstand their ridicule, and they're going to pull you back in, and you're going to go right back to sleep. I said, you don't want to do that. And I warned her about it. I said, this is what you have to do. You have to fast. You ain't got to do long fast like I be doing. You just put one meal away. Like, seriously, take some time, get quiet. I said, literally, like, I would read, like, yes, babe.
Where's Nani?
Nani is all, hold on. She all the way back. She didn't say nothing, but she here. Look, there's her name. Hold on. There she go. Right there. Right. I said, but you literally have to do this for your own sanity, because people, they gonna come at you hard, So I'm just like, I'm telling y'all based on what I do and how I know how to stay solid. Because there are some times, and now I told you before, like I have to stop. I'm like, okay, because all the information that I'm learning, I was like, wait a minute, okay, let me reground myself. Father, this is what I know to be true. First of all, if I don't know nothing else is true, I know that you are true and you are the only God. That I know. Right. And I just kind of have to reground myself based on stuff like people really stop. Don't do that. People really trying to come in and come save your soul and pull you back to Jesus. Like, repent now or you're going to hell. Like, and sometimes it'll shake you a little bit, you know, when you're just really trying to get your footing in the truth and truly do what's right. But if you don't stay grounded and in the Torah and going through these things, guys, it's easy to slip. Because people are so strong-willed and they're determined to save your soul, especially Christians, and they train you to be this way. I know I was there. I lived that life for most of my life, right? But I'm telling you, something happens. Something happens. All my, like, if you go to my backup channel, I shared this before. If you go to my backup channel, yes, baby. Oh yes, you can blow 90 a kiss. Go ahead, blow 90 a kiss. No, don't click me. You're gonna click everybody out. Just blow 90 a kiss. Mom, she about to blow you a kiss. Okay, so okay. Girl, I'm about to put you out this kitchen. Hold on, okay. Okay, she gotta look at your picture while she blew your kiss. Okay, I lost my train of thought. Tootie, you gonna have to get down, sis. Hold on. What was I about to say, y'all? I need to just go ahead and end this video. But what you need to do, you really just need to really just need to focus, right? I cut out all the extra names and stuff, and like I say, even doing my prayers, everything is Father Yahuwah in your name, and in your name alone. Like, you just gotta kind of take steps, right? But you go, oh, I know what I was about to say. When you begin to do this, right, when you really begin to come in truth, if you go back and look on my backup channel, you will see from when I first started doing videos, and I was a Christian at that time, right? I said I was gonna take them videos down, then you know what? I'm gonna leave these up here, right? And that was when I was doing like the 90-day Bible reading plan challenge, but I was reading the entire Bible, including the New Testament, every 90 days. And the way that I accomplished that is I would listen to it, right? And I would come in and I would do daily updates. Yes, baby. You gotta go get some tissue. Okay, I'll go get a rag. I'm wet. Watch this. Right? And we would do overviews. We wouldn't read, it was 10 to 11 chapters a day, but we wouldn't read it like we're reading the 3 chapters a day now just from the Old Testament. We would on our own time read it or listen to it, and then I would come in daily and I would do a summary over all of the 10 or 11 chapters, right? But you can tell I leave them there for one, for me, so I can go back just in case there's a time. It's for my own encouragement, just to see how far along I've come, right? And you can kind of see, you can watch that period of time where you're gonna see a clear change in me, even the way I talk, the way I teach. There is tremendous growth that has happened in my life in the last 3 years. Bella, hold on, stop. Then me being a Christian all of my life, except for like these last, from the time I was live up here, the last, from what you can see, like 3 years, right? But it's really a little bit longer than that, because we stopped, we literally separated ourselves from the church back in, let's see, 20. Okay, so like completely, like in 2012, right? Because Josiah was just born in 2012. But we would not go like, oh, I'm going to church, and that's even some of the, we would from time to time, because as we was learning the Hebrew roots and stuff, we would go to the Hebrew congregation or the synagogue or the temple or whatever, just to kind of see. But even there, I began to notice some things, and we even distance ourselves away. And I want to say we were completely distanced away by, I want to say 2014. By the time Isaiah was, I don't think Isaiah has ever been inside a church, with the exception of like my grandmother's funeral. But Bella never been inside of a church. But I would say 2014, completely separated. But what happens is when you distance yourself from that constant, Bella, you go get the Vaseline, sis. Go get Vaseline. When you distance yourself from that constant dumping into your spirit from the doctrines that the church teaches you, you begin to detox, right? And as you begin to detox, your eyes become open, and especially if you pull yourself away and you still go through and you read through the Old Testament, something begins to happen. The best way I can understand it is your eyes begin to open to what has been in front of your face all this time. And it's like, oh my goodness. And that's what begins to draw you in. And that begins to make you hungry. But what happens is the growth process for those who actually go to Yah. Listen, I tell you, here's what's crazy. I'm going to have to end this. Those who full-heartedly are searching after Yah when they come out of the church and they go right into the Torah and they're diligent with it, within a year's time, from what I've seen, they begin to notice that something is wrong with this Christian Messiah. And I started looking, I noticed it within a year. It doesn't take that long, y'all. But what happens is you have to get familiar with Yahuwah's voice and how he operates and how he moves with his people in order for it to break the state that Christianity has put you in, right? And everybody got it. You got it. You walk around with it. You just don't read it. The thing that will deliver you, you've been carrying with you all your life. You just haven't been reading it. And that's how I can tell. Even those in the Hebrew roots movement, even our brothers and sisters with the head wraps and all this stuff and the services and keeping the feast days and stuff, if they're still holding on to this Christian Messiah, but they have just changed his name and given him a Hebrew term, but they still haven't made the connection that this was a totally fabricated character, I can tell that you really haven't been diligently studying, because it only really takes about a year for that to completely pop open or awaken inside of you. And I went and I started searching. I was like, oh, and I'm like, wait, it's people that literally are just waking up in like this last year, a couple years. How come they are grasping and really realizing, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because you can tell there's a stark difference between how Yahuwah speaks and deals with his people based on the things that were added. This doesn't sound like him. He don't operate like this. Think about this. Even friends, close friends or a spouse, you know how they talk, you know their mannerisms. Like I use my son Isaiah all the time. And somebody comes and tells me, your son Isaiah just hauled off and punched somebody in the face, I'm going to believe you because I know my son Isaiah. Where I understand his mannerisms, how he acts, but you ain't going to come tell me that about Joshua, right? Joshua's mannerisms, the way he moved, the way he operates, is not like that. It's the same way you learn how Yahuwah operates and how he moves. So you begin to notice things that will trigger you in scripture. Like, wait a minute. That said Yahuwah said it, but he just doesn't move like that. You become acquainted. You understand the mannerisms of people. Even when people try and play a trick on you, if you talk to somebody every day, no matter how much you describe your voice, unless you're using like auto-tune or something like that, I'm still going to pick up the tone of your voice. Like, man, quit playing. Elijah, I know this. Yeah, you're right, Ma. I can never fool you. Yeah, you're my son. I spend enough time to know all the inflections, the tones of your voice, even how you joke around. I pick it up. It's the same way with y'all. That's what I'm telling you. So with that being said, yeah, this way they have the best advice.
Now, can I end your video?
Okay. Yes. Mariah. She said, I don't even know how to approach my husband with this. I need to say yes. 90 said, hey, Bella. Okay, y'all. No, move. Back up. You're not. Bella gonna do it. Go ahead. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead. Yeah, they absolutely do, Robert. You're absolutely right. Okay. All right, y'all. So did you go get the tissue, wipe your noses? All right, y'all. With that being said, let's go. We already an hour and 39 minutes. No, this her saying, right? Okay. Please. So if she still sleep one day and I'm about to end it, you can come do it if you up, all right? But I don't want to hear how look. If you just would have got the wet rag and wipe your face, you ain't got to do that, right? Let me check. Did you wipe it? You got it, but you ain't put no lip gloss on your lips. You know what? I'm gonna have to start keeping something right here just in case. All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and do this blessing real quick. Remember? Okay. The blessing is found. Back
I
up,
want to
back
do
up,
this
back up.
one and this one.
Okay, all right, hold on. Let me just do this first. Okay, let's pull up the blessing. All right, y'all remember the blessing is in Numbers chapter 6, verses 22 through 27. And Yahuwah spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto Aaron and unto his son, saying, On this wise ye shall bless the children of Israel, saying unto them, Yahuwah will kneel before us, presenting gifts, and will guard us with a hedge of protection. Yahuwah will illuminate the wholeness of his being towards us, bringing order, and he will provide us with love, sustenance, and friendship. Yahuwah will lift up his wholeness of being and look upon us, and he will set in place all we need to be whole and complete. And they shall put my name, whose name? Yahuwah's name. And they shall put my name upon the children of Israel, and I will bless them. All right, beautiful people. Yes, baby.
Nani blow you kiss?
Yes. She said she got it. She got your kiss, and she blew you one back. Okay, y'all.
Hi, Nani.
That is it for today. I love y'all, and I see y'all back here tomorrow morning bright and early, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bruce. All right, Tootie, go ahead and end it. Go ahead. All right, go ahead and end it up here. Ooh, girl. Oh my gosh, go ahead. Hurry up and end it, girl. Hurry up, hurry up. Okay, you know she got to do all this. Okay, yep. Post now. All right, hit end over here. Oh my gosh, girl, get you some lip gloss. Go ahead. End stream.
I cheated.
And
Hi, guys.
bye, guys. And good job.
Now you make my smoothie.